I've been painting for more than 40 years, and I got to hide in plain sight.
Artist Jo Temming started her artistic journey when she started college at the Kansas City Art Institute at 13 years old. But like many young artists, she found it necessary to set aside a career in art, and she found success in the corporate world. But she never stopped painting.
So this is my first exhibit that I only really started putting my art into the public spaces just a couple years ago when Stephen offered me the show.
Northlake College Gallery Director Stephen Benezou was a longtime fan of Temming's work. He knew it would make a beautiful show, and Temming knew exactly what she wanted to present.
I wanted my first solo exhibit to have this theme of painted black, and it goes back to a very basic design tenet, which is when you're learning, you learn in black and white.
For this first solo show, Benezou and Temming selected work that showcased her mastery of texture, line, and value.
My pieces are very simple as far as their aesthetic, but there's a lot of skill and technical development behind them. And so I think it really kind of resonated more in a black and white palette. That's where you really get the mastery of composition and being able to really, you can't hide anything in black and white. So I really wanted my first show to have this theme.
Simple, in the case of Temming's work, is a relative term. From small canvases to grand-scale multi-panel installations, Temming used techniques she developed over the past 40 years to combine texture, depth, and contrast in eye-catching compositions she hopes will engage viewers in a synergistic way.
I believe in an artist and viewer collaboration. Many of my pieces are multi-panel, so they can be hung and installed many different ways, viewed different ways. So I think it gives it a flexibility. It's an experiential type of thing. So for me, I'm more interested in how people react to it when they see it in person.
And because of its flexibility, Temming discovered new possibilities in her own work.
When Stephen was installing the exhibit, it was a surprise for me to walk into the space and see his interpretation of my art and how he installed it. So, you know, it's not very often that an artist gets to be surprised by their own art, so I love that.
After years in the corporate and entrepreneurial world, Temming is ready to step back into the world of the artist.
Many of the techniques I developed myself decades ago, and so that experimentation not only in the technique, but being able to use that technique in a new way is a renewal. But then I'm always coming up with new ideas, and I always have several paintings swirling around in my head. So for me, when I sit down, it's never a matter of what can I paint. It's like, okay, which one should I paint now? Which one's speaking to me now?
One of the things that Temming shared with Northlake students was how art has always fed her soul.
It's meditative. In many ways, art is prayer for me. And so it's only when I'm doing yoga and when I'm doing art that I can silence that constant running to-do list that's in my head. The artist's soul, in many ways, when we paint or we sculpt, I think a lot of people don't realize that's emotional nudity. Okay, so you're putting out what's in your soul out for the world to view, to accept, to reject.
Besides the opportunity to share her work in a public space, the show at Northlake provided an outlet for Temming's other passion.
If I spent 40 years gathering this knowledge, if I can help one of the students here at Northlake or many of the other students that I mentor, if I can help them not make those mistakes and get able to progress in their art career faster, I love that.
This is Kathy Whiteman reporting.